You've just heard Get to Know You by Midnight Painters, which is from the debut EP Midnight Painters Volume 1, which is out now. And I'm joined by Aveen and Anthony, who are Midnight Painters. Hello, both.
Hello, Alistair.
So, first of all, what can you tell us about the song we've just heard, Get to Know You?
Get to Know You was
Yeah, it was the
the
first
first song we
recording.
co-wrote, yeah,
Yeah.
completely together because we've both had very different backgrounds in music growing up. My background was more classical. I played viola for about 11 years
Right.
and played in orchestras and things at school. So that was more my background. But I've always loved music. I've been brought up with music, kind of generationally in my family, whereas Anthony more had the background of,
Yeah, I was more self-taught,
yeah,
and then kind of learned. You went to college later on and stuff like that. But yeah, we come from kind of different. Whereas your family is very musical, and she's got a kind of Irish history of music behind her. Whereas I was more kind of like just out swimming out on my own kind of thing.
yeah.
But I think we started off. I think I had the riff.
You had the woo woo.
Yeah, I had the riff idea, the do do do, and the ooze, and then I was like, oh, I've got this idea, and then we just kind of started collaborating on it, just writing lyrics.
I
And
think we had it written in maybe like an hour and a half or something like
yeah,
that. It was one of those songs that just kind of wrote itself. And for me, that was very new because I'm not used to the whole writing your own songs and coming from such, and this isn't a bad thing, but being with classical being your background, it being so rigid, Anthony would have to say to me, Avine, this is play. There's none of this on a sheet. This is
yeah,
not sheet music. This is not, it's not if it's wrong, if it's not right, it's wrong. This is, you can loosen up and play with it a bit. So I think that kind of is what helped me get into that kind of mind frame of joining Anthony on the songwriting train. And
yeah. And I
yeah,
was looking for someone that I'd been writing songs for a while, and I was looking for a long time for someone to kind of just sing harmonies with me, and so yeah, that's kind of how we started collaborating. As I was like, oh, I've got these songs, I've got these ideas, maybe we can start doing something.
That's
yeah.
interesting. Sorry, on you go.
No, it's just my harmony thing is something that I didn't really realize was such a big thing until I met Anthony and we started doing this project again. Because with at school I was in choirs and stuff, and I also have a twin sister, and we did singing lessons and stuff together. So we would have been singing in harmony all the way through school, and I just never really realized that that's just kind of something that comes naturally. So whenever we started Midnight Painters, it was just like a kind of, and people would say, "How did you make that harmony up?" And I'm like, I don't know. It just came out.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're singing in choirs from a young age, it's kind of all harmony, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
the way it works, and you probably don't realize that that isn't usual for anyone who hasn't experienced that.
yeah,
I'm really interested, even coming from a classical background, was it difficult to give up the accuracy, so to speak? Where there is an absolute right and wrong way to
yeah.
play that
That
note.
was really, really hard for me to shake off. We'd even be practicing covers, we'd be practicing kind of songs that we'd been kind of just messing around with, and we'd be playing it, and then Anthony would maybe add in an extra chord or change something, and I would just stop and be like, "You didn't tell me you were going to do that." And Anthony was like, "I know, this isn't written down anywhere." So that for maybe like the first 6 months or so, I found that
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
out of that.
Because I'm a huge fan of John Martin. Like he's a big inspiration on me. So I was you can maybe hear that in one of our tracks, a couple of our tracks. But so I've got that kind of freeform thing. It's almost, I'd say, kind of, I've got a good friend as well who plays a lot of jazz, and it's almost like a almost jazz way of thinking. Like I never play the same solo twice. I like to change things. Keep things moving, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had quite a few jazz musicians on the show, and it's so interesting. They'll say two shows are never the same, and
Yeah,
actually improvisation is a huge part of what they do.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was also like I used to listen to like Frank Zappa a lot, and I really liked the fact that he would change his performances every night. That was something that I've just kind of. So yeah, we really are. We've got to kind of like we fill each other out in our own ways.
yeah.
Like we make up.
We bring our own different backgrounds to the music we make now
Yeah,
in different ways.
yeah,
So, and like I said, my family, or my dad's side of the family, are very musical. I've got two uncles who played music all their lives, and kind of great uncles and great grandmothers and stuff that were quite
yeah,
well known in Ireland. So it's kind of always been like just in our blood in a way.
yeah. Avon's not going to say it, but Sarah Macomb, is Avon's great grandmother.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, she's well known Irish folk artist.
Folk royalty.
Yeah, and then Tommy Makem, her son, is my father's uncle that played with the Clancy brothers.
Oh, really?
So Tommy Makem was my great uncle as well. So I try not to talk about that a lot because I feel like it can sound kind of pretentious, and I feel like again that part of my thing is that it feels like pressure. The more people you tell about that, the more they'll be like, oh, she's related to this person, and then oh, so surely she'll be good at this.
You can
And
tell it's like in your DNA, you know, it's like Evan's a natural when it comes to harmonies and our singing and our pitch and all that is, you know, like obviously you worked hard as well, you know, you practiced and you rehearsed, but you can definitely see there's like a lineage. Even I would say sometimes your voice can sound quite similar to Sarah Makem. Got that almost kind of bird-like sort of when you hit a note. But yeah.
I love the idea about have music been in your genes. I think that's a really interesting thing to consider.
yeah.
How did the Midnight Painters come about then? How did you come to be working together?
Funny enough, we actually started. We were like, should maybe we can do covers to like.
We met through mutual friends, and like we'd
Yeah,
never met each other, and both of us were kind of coming out of long-term relationships at the time that we met, and we were just kind of like hanging out. And I think the first thing that we actually bonded over was that I went over to hang out with Anthony one day, and there was a packet of Beatles themed playing cards on the table, and I kind of was like, do you like the Beatles? And Anthony was like, yeah, I love the Beatles, and I've got like a Beatles tattoo and stuff like that. So we kind of bonded over that, and then the first cover we did together was two of us. And that was kind of the original plan, was to be like, let's just play covers, do it for fun. And this was back in kind of the summertime in 2023, and then kind of coming towards Christmas, we were like, should we do something different with this? And
yeah, but we were getting like I think we'd played a gig or two, and we were filling out the gig with originals and covers, and we were getting much more of a positive response to the originals. Like people wouldn't really talk about the covers at all. They'd just be like, "Oh, what was that original song?"
Yeah, or did you write that song? Or
and so we were like, maybe. So one night we were actually called Abe and Anton, and we just one night I was like, we got the name, the idea for them because the Red House Painters band, and I kind of liked that name, and then we added the Midnight, and then we were like, just change all our social media. And one night we changed it all from Abe and Anton to Midnight Painters. And then we not look back from there.
No.
It's just
When I was Googling stuff about you before we talked, I think on YouTube it still says Abe and Anton.
Does it? One thing we missed.
Yeah, that's
interesting. I'm a huge Midnight Painters. I'm a huge Midnight Painters fan, but I'm a huge Red House Painters fan. Well. So, I've seen Mark Kozlik a few times. So you said that Get to Know You was the first track you wrote together, is that right?
Yeah, a lot of the songs has been like Anthony will have started the song years ago, way before we met each other. It would be an idea that maybe he just never did anything with, and he'd be like, "Oh, I've got this idea from a while back. Do you want to work on it?"
I don't know if you heard our track "Lost in the Woods." That was one.
Yeah,
that was an idea. Oh yes, so you did. Yeah, that was an idea I had 8 years ago. But I mean, I'd say a couple of the songs, like Ruby's quite a new idea, and Changing of the Seasons was. I literally wrote this time November last year.
Yeah.
Or I wrote most of it, and then you kind of come in and help me. So a lot of the time, if come in and sort of like just help me finish it off, or like maybe just add a different perspective, which is obviously
or like tweak words to we'll have an idea, and I'd be like, this word sounds better with that word, or this word sounds better with that word. So
you're sort of like the editing process in real life, I guess.
I was going to ask how you work together. So it really is a collaborative right from the start.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then the bass guitar kind of came in just very randomly, and it was just one of those things where I think whenever you grow up and you play classical instrument, you just feel like you're kind of just constrained to classical instruments. And Anthony has a little Hofner, and it was around December last year. I just picked it up one day, and then within like half an hour was playing some kind of Tom York bass line, and I was like, how does this come about? And then I made the connection of, oh wait, like viola is single notes, and it's a viola bass, and I was like, all right, okay, well that's how that's all happened. Like it was just really one day I just picked it up to mess around with it, and then we were like, oh wait, we should definitely bring this into.
Well, yeah, you can see that your viola background is definitely like you can move your fingers well. You can, straight away you're kind of off. You could kind of play anything that you could hear
Yeah, because I don't read sheet music for the bass guitar. I just listen to it and then play it.
And what about yourself, Anthony? Are you reading music, or again you taught yourself? So is it?
I can read music. I wouldn't say I'm like to a really high degree. Like I did at college and stuff, and music, and then I did music production and stuff. But no, I would definitely say I'm much more like hear it. Like I understand what I'm playing, but I try not to think about that too much and just kind of try and play. I definitely come from a much more emotional place. You know how a chord makes me feel, how something makes me feel. Um, so again, I just kind of follow that, and then the kind of maybe if there is any theory, it comes after the fact, you know. Yeah.
And you mentioned production there. I was going to ask you how the EP was recorded.
Yeah, so we went to Sky and recorded with a very nice fellow. I don't want to say his name just because I know he likes his privacy.
A lot of stuff with us
so
has happened by accident, Alistair.
yeah.
Like it's happened really coincidentally. So we went on a tour with Mr. Wing. You know Mr. Wing.
Mhm.
We went on tour with them last December. We played 3 gigs, one in Glasgow, one in Edinburgh, and then one in Skye. And we were staying with this couple, so we met the person we recorded with through Grace and Al. And just kind of after chatting to them, he said, he took us into their living room and he was like, I'd really love to help you guys get started. I really love the music that you're making, but I know with funding and budgets and stuff like that, it can be really hard, and I'd really love to help you get started. And then
Yeah,
it
so
kind of came from
we
that.
kind of just recorded like over the course of like 4 or 5 days. We recorded the full thing. Well, not well, yeah, it was the
Yeah,
full
we
thing,
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we kind of took that back to Glasgow, and then I sort of mixed it, and then a friend of ours called Daniel, he mastered it, and so yeah, it's a really like self-made, DIY project. They said we recorded with some really nice like microphones and stuff in our friend's studio. He had a lot of old vintage equipment and all that, and so we were really happy with it. I think we're really happy. Like I think for a long time I wanted to make like something with like guitars and basses, something really earthy sounding. You know, that can be really hard when you don't have a studio space. But I didn't want to lose because I had an experience in a big studio before, and I felt like I lost so much control over the final song. You know, so we wanted to keep that level of control that we could make it so when we know when we put this song out, we're going to be totally happy with it, and
Yeah.
that's the way we wanted it to be, you know. So yeah, that was pretty much how it's recorded.
And is that an easy thing to do, to kind of shout cut, if you like, on a song and say, yeah, that's ready to go? Or is there always part of you that thinks, could we do that or something else? Or?
Oh no,
You
it's hard.
really get,
Yeah.
because obviously the production thing, the whole production element just goes. If Anthony says, "Can you come in and record another harmony?" I'll be like, "Cool, no problem. I'll go and do that." But
Yeah.
there would be times whenever I would have to say to you, "Come away from it,
Yeah.
away from it," and then give your ears time, and then go back to it because you were nearly.
Yeah, it's like you've kind of got to go really deep and then pull yourself out and then come back to it. We go. So I kind of did it over like months and months, and I think
Because we recorded it in April.
yeah. So I think it was April, and then it was finished about August, maybe September.
Yeah.
September, maybe. So yeah, it was quite a few months of mixing, and I learned a lot myself. You know what I mean? I learned. I feel like if I was to do it again, I'd probably be much quicker this time. But it was kind of the realization as well that even though we recorded all the tracks the same way, I had to approach each one of them differently. You know, so I couldn't really. There was some things I could have like a formula for to get this, but really I had to treat each song on like an individual basis. And yeah, it was I was up I was like this with it, but I knew I was kind of happy with the end because there was nothing that I was really. Sometimes I've recorded songs and I'm like I can't listen to that again. Like like I've mixed it, I've wrote it, but with these I always had a good feeling after I listened to them. So it was that felt like a good sign.
It's been a labor of love for sure.
Yeah.
It's been a labor of love for sure because we'd planned originally to go to Sky and just do 4 songs with bass and guitar
Yeah,
and vocals, and that was it. And then our friend, we just came in the first day and he was like, "Oh, I got up this morning and I recorded drums for this song. If that's okay." And we were like, "Yeah, that's amazing." So it ended up kind of just growing
Yeah.
in ways that we didn't expect. And I think
Yeah.
being in Skye, like it was the first time I'd ever been in Skye, and the weather was beautiful, and we were in the middle of nowhere, and all the sheep were about to have their lambs, and it was just a really, really lovely setting
Mm-hmm.
to have it recorded, and to build that relationship
It's
with the.
interesting. Yeah, I was going to ask you about recording it in such a beautiful place. If place can make a difference to what you're doing. If you look out and you don't see another building or anything like that, you're seeing.
And you don't hear a siren for 4 days. It's
Yeah.
just something that you take for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say like the contrast of like you'd be in the studio and it'd be like quite loud and music, and then you go outside and it would be like dead quiet. It was like just like so quiet, no background noise at all. So that was good because it kind of gave you like you really felt like you had a break when you went outside the studio.
Because the whole thing was like just the whole thing was an experience, because we would start in the morning, record for a few hours, and then we would take a break for a couple of hours, and it meant we could go for a walk or hop in the car and go for a drive. And so the whole thing just felt like a whole experience. It wasn't like we were in this studio for 4 days and we didn't see anything around us or experience anything. So the whole experience was just really, really positive. And it was really funny because the area that we were in, the community because the sheep were just about to have the lambs, and they do sheep bingo, where at the local filling station you can go and buy a bingo card, and as the sheep are having the lambs, they announce the numbers on Facebook, and then all the members of the community sign off and win prizes and whatever. So even just having that, like seeing that little small town community.
Oh yeah, the day that we left,
the lambs were born the day we left.
Yeah, it was actually quite sad as well because unfortunately my auntie passed away when we actually the day we arrived. And it was very sudden, and so I was obviously quite emotional, but we were so far away. There was nothing. There was nothing I could do. And then by the last day we were leaving and the lambs were being born, it was a real sort of like
cathartic.
Yeah, it was to the real. I don't know. I don't want to use like any sort of woo-woo words around it.
No, it wasn't. It was very cathartic because
Yeah,
it was like maybe half an hour after we'd arrived to Skye that we got the news about your auntie, and you got to speak to her on the phone. And the last thing she said to us was, "Don't come back to Glasgow. Don't come back to Glasgow. You record that EP. You've gone all that way.
Yeah,
record it. Do it." So it was very cathartic in that way. And then at the end to see these little lambs being born, it was really strange.
I think it was all very meant to be, like that sort of way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that is really, it's an interesting kind of image as well, that almost the circle of life in reverse of such a thing as the possibly be.
Yeah.
Something we haven't spoken about is playing live. Is that something you enjoy doing? Will you be doing stuff to back up the EP?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, I think that was hard for me to come out of. Because like I said, I've been singing my whole life and did grades and singing in grades and viola. But then as a result of that, you're playing in orchestras, you're singing in choirs, you're singing in small ensembles. So for me, the getting on stage and feeling very exposed, I had like my stage fright has really only quelled in the last few months. We've been doing this for nearly 2 years.
You've came on a lot, and I think
I've always enjoyed it. It's never been something that I haven't enjoyed, but it's always nearly like an unwelcome friend. Is that even if I'm feeling super positive about it, it's like a physical reaction, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah,
she's back again.
You've definitely turned a huge page on that, and I think the first year we played, we didn't play with bass; it was just acoustic guitar and vocals, and then we've added the bass in the last year, and then we're looking to add drums in next year. So we've already got a drummer that we're going to be playing with live, because even though we're a duo, we don't really see it as like we don't want to limit ourselves. Like we kind of want to keep expanding, and because we always listen to songs and go, oh, I'd love to make a track like that, and it's maybe got drums and synths and it could be anything. So we're kind of,
and we do like that's part of why we like doing this so much, is we really like collaborating with other creative people. It could be like photographers, or even Daisy, who made the album artwork. Just little conversations that you have with people. Like we got handed up with our cover artwork because we went into Daisy's shop. Her artist name is Nanny Pa, and she's got a shop in the Barrows Market. And we just went in for a look one day, and then got chatting, and she was talking about Kelburn garden parties, and we were like, oh my goodness, we've been to Kelburn, blah blah blah. And then she was like, oh, if you'd like to work together or do anything, like let me know. And just from a random Saturday in the Barras, we ended up with our album artwork. So I think collaborating with people is something that we're really, really passionate about, and about bringing as many people in as we can to not to elevate us, but to just like expand the actual act and not just make it, oh, you're here to play drums for us, but no, you're here because we want you to be here and we want to build the sound together. And in terms of playing live, any headline shows, we would love to do a headline show, and we're currently trying to plan for it. We've applied for some funding and things like that, so I think it's just gathering the money and planning and all that kind of stuff.
Like early
we're hoping like early next year to have a headline show.
Yeah.
I think quite a few people now record songs or make music that can be done live in a number of ways. You know, they can do it as a solo or as a show, or then get full band experience, you know. And it's really about collaboration, as you say. It's not just about getting hired guns or something. It's really getting people who you work with elsewhere or who you know or are friends or something like that.
Yeah, and building relationships with people. I think that's the thing we've ended up finding has been so rewarding for us, is just the relationships that we've built with people and the friends we've made. Yeah,
we've met a lot of great people in Still, and so we're looking to like just make we'd like to just have a bit more colour in our act, you know, be able to have big loud moments and quieter moments, but at the same time we'll still be playing. We love playing just the two of us and just like having that kind of bare bones sort of setup, you know, like so we would love to. I think next year we'd really like to go on tour. Probably just two of us, no pun intended there. So that's something we'd really like to do, like a European tour. Probably kind of we supported a great band, Mama's Broke, you've probably heard of. And we really liked what they were doing, just going around the two of us and playing kind of smaller venues, and
even that was crazy because they asked us to support and we were like, cool. And then they were posting in their Instagram stories coming up to the gig about fighting accommodation in Glasgow and blah blah blah, and then they ended up just staying with us.
So good.
And they arrived and I was like, Mama's Broker staying in our flat. Like, how do you speak to people like that? And Anthony was like, they're just people. But you know, just these really random encounters that you never would have expected.
Yeah, like if you told us that a couple of years ago, like
Mama's Broker gonna come and stay
in our flat, we'd be like,
and you're gonna make them breakfast the next day. It was like crazy stuff.
So in a moment we're going to hear the track Thanks Jim, and so I want if you could tell us about that one, because there's some spoken word at the start of it.
Yeah, so Thanks Jim is about our greyhound, and not being biased, but I'm so biased about it. It's my favorite song because again it was very organically written, and the narrative at the start is commentary from a race that he ran. So I found a video in the Greyhound database and you can see which one he is straight away. He's wearing the white coat and he's running, and you know, I just kind of thought if we're writing a song, because we were inspired a lot by the Bygones, and Alison had written a song about her cat Lucy, and I was like, I'd love to write a song about Jim, and I said that for so long.
Avian would always say we didn't have any lyrics, but I think I had had some chords and stuff. And I said to you, Avian used to always say, how could anyone be mean to him?
You know, I'd be petting him. I'd be like, how can anybody be so mean to him?
Yeah, and I just got the line, how could anyone be mean to him? Thanks, Jim. You know, and then we're always like, I've got the chorus.
Yeah. So in the commentary, you can hear them saying like, thanks, Jim's coming out well, and thanks, Jim, blah, blah, blah. So thanks, Jim, whenever we wrote the song, the title ended up being kind of like a double entendre, because they were like, his racing name is Thanks, Jim. The song's also like a kind of love letter from us to Jim for all the kind of joy that he's brought to our lives. And the song lyrics are kind of more about his perspective of what it was like going from being a racer, basically being an employee, to living in a nice cozy flat where you can sleep for 16 hours a day. And you know, they really do, they're such lazy dogs, but they are so misunderstood. You know, a lot of people, whenever I first said, oh, we're getting a greyhound, they'd be like, oh, that's going to be a lot of work, you know, like with all that running. And you're like, actually he reneges if he gets walked for any more than 20 minutes. So and it was really interesting to find that little nugget of information on the greyhound database, because you can see everything on there. You can see when he was born, how many people or how many other pups were in the litter. You can see if he had any recent injuries and things like that. So it was really interesting, because you forget when you rescue a dog, because this is the first dog I've ever rescued, because all of our family dogs at home, we just got them from breeders. And it was really walking around Glasgow, because back at home, greyhound racing is still practiced. It's still very practiced. And after moving here, I used to live in the West End, and I was like, what is the deal with all these greyhounds around here? Why does everybody have all these greyhounds? And I just kind of started chatting to people on the street, because I would, as my cousin's boyfriend said to me last week, I would chat the head off a brush. But I just kind of started asking people, why do so many people have greyhounds? And after maybe 3 or 4 people gave me the exact same list of stuff. They never bark. They just want to lie up beside you on the couch. They're super chill, super easy to care for. I was like, right, okay, I'm going to give this a go. And really, it's been one of the best decisions we've ever made, is getting Jim, because he's just a great dog, really. He's just a great dog. And I think it's interesting to know that they've had a whole story, because Jim was 3 whenever he arrived, but he's had 3 years of a history before he came to us.
It's trying to, like, we were trying to imagine his life before.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to fill in a blank that we'll never know about.
Yeah.
Really, we'll never know what happened in those first 3 years of his life.
So he's born and told.
Because you even said when he first came into the house, he didn't know what anything was. He didn't know what TV was. He didn't know what it's like.
He didn't play with toys until maybe 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
After he arrived, he would just kind of watch and be like, what is this?
To him, it must be such a contrast again, of just like environments. But I think an interesting thing about the recording was that actually the bit that at the start, I just played it totally freeform, and that was the first take and only take we did of it. And I actually did it, and then Avian and our producer were like, yeah, that's good. And I was like, well, if they think it's good, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well,
it's always the song that people say live. Whenever we play it live, people always come up to us at the end and say, I absolutely love that song about your dog. So that's always nice to know that it resonates with people, especially people in Scotland, where greyhound racing is there's such a big community effort to try and ban it, and to try and get people to understand that these dogs are so misunderstood. They're so chill. They just want love. And if they do have any kind of trauma, it's not their fault. And I think having that community here has been really interesting, because most gigs will be like, anybody have a greyhound in here? And there's always at least one person that goes, yeah, I do. And
there's always one person that goes, oh my God.
Yeah.
You see that from
So it's always nice to know you're connecting with people in that way too.
And when you play it live, do you have the spoken word as well?
Yeah. Yeah. And you can kind of hear people kind of going, oh.
Yeah, it just comes out of nowhere, and then it's
yeah. So it's always fun. It's a fun one to play, and it's a fun one to connect.
Yeah, it's probably, funny enough, it's probably like the subject matter people might think is kind of silly or whatever, but it's actually one of the hardest songs to play. It's actually one of the hardest songs we have to play. Like, it's hard to play live as well, but.
And it was hard to record too, because whenever we were recording it, I put a couple of harmonies on. I put a third harmony on the verse, and I was like, I can't seem to dig out a harmony in my mind, a third harmony for the chorus. And we were sitting there, and I had the cans on, and then I was just like, hold on, something's coming, press record right now. And they were like, okay. And then I did that kind of high top harmony just completely out of nowhere. And at the end of it, you both kind of slowly took your cans off and turned around and were like, how did she just do that? But it's probably one of the ones I've ended up being probably the most happy about on the EP, because I feel like it kind of encapsulates us.
Yeah. It's a nice, fun song as well. It's not, I've got a tendency to write sad stuff a lot.
Yeah.
So it's nice to write a song that's just fun. Well,
we are going to hear it right now. But first of all, Avian and Anthony, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And all the best.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. It really is.
You too.
And this is Midnight Painter, and thanks, Jim.